Troops, here we are, we're live. It's another Eagle podcast. We're still in the middle of COVID-19. Are we coming out of lockdown? Who knows? But one thing is for certain, the Eagle podcast will keep on bringing on awesome people to help you think about your day-to-day tasks. And I've been joined tonight by Joanna, who's a therapist, but she's going to go into what sort of a therapist she is. But first of all, Joanna, welcome to the show, and how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, great. So, yeah, I'm Jo. Just correct you, it's Joanna.
All right, well, there you go. There's the second name mistake I've made today.
Oh, no, don't worry. No worries. You can call me whatever you like. It's fine.
We'll go with Joe. I'll remember Joe from my main man, Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
Talk us through what you do, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I'm a therapist. I know there's like lots of different types of therapists out there. My background is working in mental health. I worked in mental health for about 20 years. I've worked with people in forensic psych services right the way through to my current work, which is more in the community. I work with lots of different people, sort of with anxiety, depression, mood disorders, you name it, really. I'm quite sort of general. I see a really broad spectrum. Yeah.
What, you'll be really busy at this moment. If not right now, definitely after this is all finished, I think like a lot of people will have, what's the right word? Come off balance, come off kilter, lost the way, whatever we want to use it. How are you sort of, are you already preparing the speech, the talk, the program to combat how they did so badly in what we class as a crisis at the moment?
Oh, do you know, it's interesting. We're already in it. You know, I'm already there kind of speaking to clients. We've one of the organisations I do some work for, we're working closely with NHS staff as well and supporting them through it. I think what you find is early on in a crisis, you get this big adrenaline surge. So everyone kind of copes all right. You get a little bit of hysteria, a little bit of kind of giddiness, and people are adjusting. Then what happens, and what I've been finding the last week, is people are dipping, the energies and the adrenaline is starting to slow down a bit, and that's where people really need the support and they need that kind of uplift.
PTSD has been predominantly put on soldiers, sailors and airmen who have come back from armed conflict. I believe that the NHS staff and other key workers will suffer from PTSD after this is finished. How are we going to help them people through the process? Absolutely,
100%. I think that's why I'm doing the work I'm doing with NHS and the organisation I work for. We're a bunch of different therapists. We've got yoga teachers, myself, counsellors, lots of different types of therapy. And we're working really to prevent that, I suppose, looking at more of a preventative approach to that and trying to give our NHS staff a bit of space to be able to work through that as they're facing it, rather than waiting until the time's too late.
I feel like I'm looking at the current situation. We're in a battle. We've had the initial contact, the first rounds have been fired, and now we're going through the stages of the battle. We're progressing with the battle, and it's only after a battle is finished and all the dust has settled that you'll see people sort of pretend to manage it. I pretended to manage it through humour and drinking, which is not a great coping strategy. Some people will just completely lose it altogether, and then there's that some people can just get through it and it doesn't really affect them. But I feel like after this will be a different society. What have you seen from your local community which makes you think the human race isn't actually a bad thing?
Oh, do you know, I'm really lucky where I live. It's amazing. We've got a good spirited community. Everyone really pulls together.
Yeah.
We've got big hospitals in very close to me, so a lot of friends and colleagues are in the front line as well. So yeah, we're just rallying round, you know, like everything from food deliveries. We've got one of our local restaurants. We're all contributing towards that, and they're delivering food to the
Oh,
staff
brilliant.
on the COVID-19 wards. We're just all of our wellbeing centres locally. We're all doing something to offer support. I think what you said about the other side, coming out the other side, people cope in the crisis, and then they get out the other side, and quite often you get like a reverse culture shock. You come out, the brain says it's safe to fall apart, it's safe to lose it, and then you get that kind of meltdown, crumble, difficulty coping.
I can only relate to it to my time in Afghanistan, where for a period of time my routine was set in stone, and then literally 24 hours later I went from a hostile war fighting environment to being back on the streets where I live. And like, you're right in what you're saying. It's like, oh, I'm in somewhere safe now, so it's okay just to fall apart. Which I think is something that we've got to be careful of, because I do believe as quick as COVID-19 has come, as quick as it'll go, because the whole world is fighting this fight. So all the top science, all the top companies, they're all racing to create a cure, because they know whoever creates the cure ends a global pandemic and they'll go down in history. And obviously they'll make a lot of money as well, which is sad, but unfortunately true. And then once COVID-19's finished, I wonder where society will go. What's your take on it?
Oh, it's bonkers, isn't it? Who knows? Who knows? There's so two sides, aren't there? You know, there's that, let's learn from this. Let's really build a better world where we're a bit more conscious and aware and connected, where we care a bit more about nature and community, where we live more sustainably. But then equally, there's another whole side of culture that just craves what was before. And who knows? Hopefully we'll learn some stuff from this. It's a good time to learn stuff.
Yeah, and you only, again, I think we've talked before, but you only learn through hardship and through tough times. And I don't want to sound, I can only draw off my own experiences, and I've experienced something a lot harder than being in my own home with a partner that I love. Plenty of food, warm water, central heating, Disney Plus, Netflix. Like, I've got all of these things, but yet some people are telling me it's the hardest thing they've ever experienced. And I'm like, I'm struggling to sort of see that, because I've experienced like something so extreme.
Proper hardship.
But I'm not trying to be judgmental, because what I've experienced is, again, was my choice, because I chose to join the army. So therefore it was my choice. But no one chose to have a crack at COVID-19. No one said, yeah, I'll put my hand up and have a go at this. But the clapping for the NHS and the key workers on a Thursday night really interests me, because I would like to see it become a thing long gone past COVID-19. I'd like to see us constantly do it. Do you think it's something we can sustain?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Just, you know, whether it be the clapping or in any form, just that support for the people that really do matter. The people that make huge impacts on the world, that are really positive. And you know, those people have been neglected. I've got my careers in the NHS. One of my reasons for leaving was just the pressure and the lack of resource and the inability to work effectively. You know, that made me kind of, I suppose, bail on the NHS, if you want to look at it that way.
Does it come to a point, though, because the NHS is free? Now, this is only my personal take on it. Because it's free, the word free normally gets abused. Is there a lot of people who use the NHS who don't need to use it, but sort of use it as a place to go? I always sort of feel like it's abused in some way. Like, at the end of the day, at the moment, we're all staying in our homes, and the doctor's surgeries aren't open. But if they were open, people would be going down, oh, I've got a sniffle, I'll go down the doctors.
Yeah.
Or
there's a bit of that, but I suppose I've worked in mental health services where actually we're just massively under-resourced. Mental health services are the poor component. They're the most neglected, in my mind anyway. They're one of the most neglected parts of the NHS. So the people that you do see are the people that desperately need it, but then there's all these people that really need it to stop them getting to crisis point that don't get a look in or don't get the support. But yeah, I'm sure there are lots of people that do, you know, turn up at A&E, turn up at GP practices for whatever reason, and yeah, it's a bit more complex. I don't know if I'm sure about the word abusing it, but maybe maybe their needs aren't being met elsewhere, I suppose. Yeah,
no, that's fair enough. That's just my sort of take on it. I just find I find sort of getting an appointment. I mean, I don't go to the doctors. Like, I truly believe that sick mind and sick body go to the doctors. Like, I feel like if you think you're ill, you become ill. So like a lot of people, they stare into the darkness all the time. They consume negative food. They consume negative content. So what they do is they make themselves ill. Yeah. So like stress is a big component, isn't it? Your body gets stressed, your immune system gets weaker, you know, oh, I've got a cold. Like, I know some people, it's like they're sick 12 months of the year, and it's like, how? And it's because I feel like they're on this negative pull all the time. Is that something that you try to change with people? Do you try to give them a positive outlook on life?
Absolutely. So the way I work is pretty holistic. You know, I see a lot of people in a lot of difficult situations, and I'm all about really kind of changing mindset and lifestyle rather than just mindset. You know, it's got to be a whole health approach, like you say. Like, you know, if you're fueling yourself on rubbish, if you're not moving, if you're not getting out in the fresh air, if you're not doing all the other things that keep you well, then the mind isn't going to be in a good place either, and vice versa. You've got to work on the whole. Yeah.
If someone comes to you, what's the sort of first thing you either ask them, or what is it the first thing is there like a constant one thing that always, do you ever hear the word social media a lot? I'm just interested in how that is coming into people's mental health.
Yeah, social media. I always ask about social media use in an initial consultation with someone, especially my youngsters. My youngsters, really hooked into social media, and there's, you know, a lot of conflict there with that.
They've been given terrible role models, aren't they? Who are trying to sell them makeup, or they're trying to sell them earbuds, or whatever they're trying to sell them. But I don't really see any great young role models coming out for anyone, especially with the emergence of certain social media platforms. And I'd quite like to see the end of this badger bait and reality TV programs that go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the trashy sort of let's all get drunk and put a load of people in a house and see how it goes. Don't really know what that benefits people from. Talk us through the process then. If someone sort of comes to see you, how do you get to know what their problems could be?
So when someone comes to see me, I just have that space for them. Really, it's their space. My interest is not about what I think they need, it's about what they think they need. So I'll talk about their history, I'll talk about what they feel they need, what their gut feelings are. People don't listen to their gut feelings. We'll look at what emotions are coming up for them. I'm very much kind of focus on we have to learn to live with and accept our emotions. Emotions are natural. And we all experience a whole range of them. We shouldn't try and shut them out. They bring information to us. And if we learn to listen to our emotions and be with our emotions, then we can often find the information we need to move beyond and forward with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does make sense. Do you ever feel like saying, obviously I've come from a very hard background with very military sort of schooling, so like my answer to everything is accountability. Everything is your
Yeah.
fault. Every win is your win and every loss is your loss. And when you can accept that, then you truly can change, and you don't blame anybody else for where you are. There's a lot of people who I think blame everything else instead of just saying there's always one person to blame, and it always starts with an individual. We make choices, but we make the choices. I feel like there's a lot of people who hide behind other people for whatever reason they do, instead of just saying, yeah, I haven't done that because of me. Why do you think people do that? Why do you think people don't take responsibility?
Do you know, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think the psychology behind it is really complex. I could do a whole other podcast on that.
Go for it. Shoot it.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, it depends on so much. You know, if you look at the neurology behind psychology, does that make sense? So we've got, you know, early childhood development and learning that instills certain patterns in our mind. Now, to shift those patterns, you can change certain elements. You can work with what you've developed, because you develop neural pathways as a child. Some of those become quite entrenched and stuck, I suppose, if you like. Some are more easy to shift, but yeah, absolutely, accountability is everything. The first thing I need to know from a client is that they want to make a change, and that they recognize that they are there to do that and to work with me, rather than me giving them a magic pill that's gonna or waving a magic wand. They've got to do the work. I can give them some skills and tools and insights and help them reflect on what they need to change, but they've got to do the work ultimately. So yeah, in that way.
This might be the wrong way to put it, but do you think some people quite like having the stigma? Like they quite like that?
Label.
Yeah, they quite like the label. I feel like some people love the label, like they love the hashtag. Like they want to say, like I was statement dyslexic as a young child.
Snap.
Yeah. But I don't ever, I've never used it. Like I've never gone, I'm dyslexic. Like I've never put it out there as like a shield. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just something that you're not very good at, and then you've got to learn to adapt to get around it. But I feel like some people, it's like, I've got to let you know that I've got this all the time. That's the reason why I'm not so good, because of this thing. And there's plenty of people who are dyslexic who are like Richard Branson's probably one of the most famous, isn't he? What's your take? Do you think people love hiding behind a label?
Again, I don't know that people love hiding behind a label. I'm sure some people do it in a misguided way. Use it perhaps it's what I would call in therapy resistance, when people resist change. So they'll put up a resistance block, and sometimes people will put those. That's part of their identity is so embedded in what they have been labelled as, that it's really hard. You've got to kind of work with someone to form a new identity. Otherwise, they're left kind of identityless. And feeling quite vulnerable. So what I would work with someone to do is to build up their confidence in themselves aside from the label, so they feel ready to let the label go.
Interesting.
Do you get a slightly different take, isn't it? I don't know if I answered
it is. It's good to have different takes, because that's how you learn, and that's how you grow. I sort of say that people tell stories. Like, for example, if I said, let's go for a run at 5 a.m, and someone said, oh no, I can't do that, and it's like stories. Like you're not going to give it's a story. Do you know what I mean? It's just a made up fantasy, and we're in this little group that I'm in, and it's brutal. It's like honest truth city, and I think it really helps you as long as you're prepared to hear it. As long as you're prepared to hear it, then it's good for you. I don't know where you'd be if you were very sort of soft-skinned and you couldn't have a bit of home truth. Sometimes a bit of home truth is good for everyone. But I don't suppose I've ever really come across anyone who was in that bad of a place where I'd be like, right, fella, home truth time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, see, I'm working with a lot of people that have got suicidal thoughts that
Yeah,
are really quite in fragile places. So
yeah,
I always say I've got to be a bit of a salesperson in some ways. I've got to
yeah.
sell them the idea of hope and change.
Wow.
I've got to sell them optimism. I've got to sell them this idea that they can actually do that. And once I can get them hooked into that, then we can do the work. And
Yeah,
then they can hear, once they're not quite so fragile, then they can hear what they need to hear. So
yeah.
it's a bit of a dance as a therapist, depending on who you're working with. Some people I'm absolutely brutal with, and
Wow.
because I know they're in a safe place emotionally to be able to cope with that.
Who do you who do you listen to or read, or who's like the guiding voice? I'll give you. Do you know who David Goggins is?
Yeah,
So like I listen to a lot of Goggins because
yeah,
like
it's
I
good.
think what he's done is truly amazing and absolutely below average human, and that's his words. And he's turned himself into this steely-eyed dealer of death. Like he's David Goggins, the man, but when he's the machine, he's Goggins. And
Yeah.
like I love that. Do you know what I mean? Like I've listened to a lot of his podcasts and stuff, and I'm like, talk about a guy who's created an absolute mindset. Is there anyone who you listen to who you inspires you?
Oh, who inspires me? Do you know, it's interesting. A lot of my clients inspire me, if
Yeah.
I'm really honest.
Wow.
But in terms of, I suppose, famous people, or I like Andy Puddicombe, who's the founder of the Headspace app.
Right. Okay.
He's just really mellow and strong and steady. He's a sturdy guy, and he's just got good insight, really good insight. And I really respect that. I quite like. There's a couple of I don't know if you know Brené Brown or Susan David, and they talk very much about it's okay and the power of being vulnerable and allowing yourself vulnerability.
Yeah. Not not so much because obviously I think I gravitate to shouters and I I gravitate to shouters and motivators, and they tend to be very sort of in your face, passionate. But I do think it works well when if you're that type of person, you do need to listen to someone with quite a quieter voice and a more calm and sober voice. So I'll have to probably find them, but I'm not really in.
I'll send you
Yeah,
the links, and you can give me an assessment of your thoughts on it.
yeah. I just
But I
think
think this is
it's.
what's important though, is that, and it highlights is how different we all are. And I think
Mm,
this is what I think is so important to put out there as a message for me as a therapist is we're all unique, we're all different. One model, one approach,
no, yeah,
one
wouldn't work.
attitude doesn't suit everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. One thing that NHS Scotland did, I think I don't know how long it's been in play, but doctors and therapists are prescribing the great outdoors.
Mm.
Um, that's something you'd be up for. You'd be, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's something we already sort of look at doing. I know in the Shetland Isles they have a prescription program.
Wow.
It's something I'm working with some people locally on at the moment. But yeah, I mean that's what I do, walk talk sessions outside.
Cool.
Um, yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
I think we came from the great outdoors. We've moved away from it, and we now, in some respects, we fear the great outdoors where we used to live there. And going back there, it's almost like muscle memory. You sort of remember that this is where you were from, and you used to be a part of nature. We're very much removed from nature now. Everything we do is sort of destructive in our destructive ways. But going back there and sort of whenever I go to the mountains, the hills, whatever, it's a place where there's no noise, there's no distraction, and it's some place you can really think. Like when I say really think, I mean it's completely quiet and you have only your own thoughts to listen to. I've had some great conversations on my own. I wish I'd recorded them.
They're the best.
What what do we have to do to get this in and rubber stamped by the NHS England and more people to be told you don't need a course of drugs. What you need is a new routine and the outdoors.
oh, what do we need to do? We just need to keep going on about it to health boards, local health boards. You know, again, locally, we've got a really good system set up. So I got free training to do some of my walk and talk stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, there are loads of little projects. It just needs lots of people to be putting the
Proactive.
energy and yeah, and being proactive with it.
Yeah. I'll tell you a little funny story. A diabetic nurse come out with me last year, and it's interesting because I told her that diabetes was a state of mind. And what I mean by that is poor lifestyle, poor diet can lead to diabetes. So if you reverse those things, then surely it can be reversed. You can basically, tongue in cheek, I said, out train diabetes. I believe that you could reverse the tide, and I was saying that we should use it, the outdoors and hill walking, because it's very low impact, but great for fat burning, great for muscle toning, low level core, great for all that stuff. And eventually we sort of had a bit of an agreement, but at first she was a bit like, state of mind. And I was like, yes, if you think about it.
Type 2 diabetes, yes.
Yeah, type 2
Yeah.
diabetes, yeah. But
Yeah.
type 2 leads into type 1, doesn't it?
It depends. Because type 1 is autoimmune, so you can be born with type 1. So.
Yeah. But like my father, his poor lifestyle led him into type 2, which is now, obviously he's got worse and worse and worse, and is now it's gone into insulin.
And that's the big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's so. I think if we did that for the for what you're doing and the mental health side, I think we would create so many new opportunities. And what would happen with the outdoors is people find their own little thing that they love. So they'll find, long distance trails, certain mountains, certain valleys, rock climbing, and that they'll find community. And once you find community, you find a place, don't you? And I feel like a lot of people are lost. They've got a map, but there's nothing on it, and the compass is just spinning. So they're like, I don't know where I'm going. And it's until someone says, we're going over here, and it's this way. Because do you believe there's a lot of people are chiefs and a lot of people are Indians, and sometimes you need like a strong person, don't you, to sort of say, come on guys, come over here. If you look at who's the you know 1 Year No Beer, have you seen that group before?
No, I haven't.
It's a great group, and the guy who created that basically created a brand new community and said, look, it's okay not to drink alcohol. Don't feel like it's some sort of embarrassment. Come over here and see what it's all about. And there's now, I'll send you the link. It's a great community, and they all encourage each other. And there's people just starting out, literally week one, day one. There's people who haven't drank for years, and there's just constant. There's never any negativity in there. And I'm like,
no, that's really good. Do they do stuff like like locally? We have quite a lot of like sober raves and stuff.
Right?
And
I think.
Yeah, they're really cool.
It's obviously it's a national thing. He worked in the city, predominant city, and sort of hosted big clients, and sort of felt like he had to socially get hammered all the time. But then sort of found a way to change it, and then started this 1 Year No Beer group, and then from there it just grew legs, and now it's a million people in it. So
cool.
We could do that. Do you know what I mean? We could start our own little movement. I feel like that's what it's going to take. It's going to take some. As long as we take
care of our environment when we're out there exploring it, that's 100%. The thing, isn't it?
Yeah. No. And that's just good husbandry. You won't believe this, but we've absolutely thrown through this podcast.
I know.
And
sorry.
What I'm going to do is, no, it's all right. We're on to half an hour. We're doing really well.
I do like, if you get me talking about mental health,
hey, that's
chat forever.
No, that's what you're here for. What would you like to see after this COVID is I don't want to say finished. I don't know when. I think that's too much of a divisive word, but on the downscale side, what would you like to see people in your profession and the NHS and other bodies doing?
Just recognizing and putting more investment into mental health.
Yeah.
you know, like yeah, just really recognizing the impact emotionally that this is having on staff and all sorts, and just kind of bringing that sense of community together, really lifting people up, getting people out, being a bit more holistic about health. And yeah.
When you break down that word holistic for me, I've heard it a few times, but what does it?
It's looking at, we're whole, aren't we? You know, we're
Yeah,
physical and emotional beings, and the two aren't disconnected. The two are entwined.
right.
So we've got to work on both. You know, we've got to eat right, we've got to move right, we've got to think right, to be really healthy and well. And we've got to connect right as well. We're social beings.
Yeah, and we've become unsocial because of I believe social media, and we crave attention from people who we don't know, but then we'll sit on a couch with loved ones and not speak to them all night. But go
Yeah,
on, but,
100%.
but go on the hunt for likes and comments from people who we've never met. Find it
Yeah,
bizarre.
yeah, it's odd.
I know sort of Instagram made a good move last year where they took off the like counter, so you could no longer see how many likes a page has got. I'd like them to take it a step further and move the follow unfollow thing. Like, I don't know why that's relevant. Where I can see how many followers you've got. Like, it's not about that. It's about the content that you put out. I don't understand it. I think it sets us back as a race of people. It's like, I've brought the football, so it's my game, sort of mentality, and I don't understand it. And what we're doing there is we're telling the younger generation, to be liked, you must have this.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. I really don't. What's your take from working within your profession and of
Oh,
social media?
100%. It's kind of false self-esteem. It's not solid self-esteem but yeah, we're encouraging self-esteem in our youngsters to be built on image and kind of quite fragile, flimsy things, really. You know, followers, likes. What do they really mean? They mean nothing, don't they? It's
Yeah,
about true, real connection. That's what it kind of, well, in my mind, what it should be.
100%. They don't mean a thing. They certainly don't pay the bills. They don't make you a better human being. And most of the time, people have bought their Instagram accounts, which is really sad. Which I think really says a lot about them as as an individual, which is a shame. But we're going to move on, Joe, to the 5 whats.
Okey-doke. Oh, okay, go for it.
Yeah, yeah. So we've all had to change routine in the current climate. So, what does your day look like now?
It's all over the place. I've got a 4-year-old. I'm homeschooling. I'm still trying to do yoga and self-care and exercise. So it's all a bit all over the place. But yeah, I fit it all in. I homeschool her. I work. It's a juggle, but it's
Yeah,
cool.
homeschooling, that's class.
It's good fun. It's all right.
Do you know what though? It's creating a real strong bond between. Do you say you had a daughter?
Yeah. She's
Like,
4.5.
it's something that you look back in years and say, "Do you remember when I homeschooled you because of COVID-19?" Like, it's a
Yeah.
period in your life that it will have real sort of structure and meaning. Or maybe they'll say, "Why am I so good at maths?" Well, what it was.
Yeah, we spent too much time outdoors and camping in the garden.
No, it's a great
But never
experience.
mind.
The second one, what workouts are you doing?
Okay, so I listen to my body. I work I work out intuitively. I listen to what I need. But I run, walk, do a lot of yoga, a bit of Pilates, bit of weights. But yeah, mix it up.
Yeah, Pilates and yoga. I really need to get into those two things. Mainly because you can do the eagle in yoga, I think. So I need to master
Yeah.
that.
Got to
Get
post a picture of that. There you go. There's your COVID-19
yeah,
lockdown
yeah.
mission.
Well, I'm not very flexible. Third one. What have you started? So something that you've started which you weren't doing before
I thought
COVID.
about this. I've started doing really dodgy things that people set me challenges, like posting
right.
videos of me doing random dances and being dressed up in all sorts. Didn't do that before COVID-19.
Is this a TikTok thing, or is it?
I didn't sign up to TikTok, so I have to be a bit creative about it because I refuse to sign up to TikTok. But yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
it is the wild west of social media.
Yeah.
Fourth one, what have you stopped? What's come to a grinding halt?
I guess it's that, just like everybody else, really, we're locked down. But I like to see it as I haven't stopped. I've put a pause and I've adapted. So I'm still catching up with friends online. We have like, Zoom catch
Yeah,
ups and all sorts. And yeah, so
great. It's a great time for Zoom. That's all I'll say. It's a great time for Zoom.
yeah, it
Two,
is.
two, two platforms, TikTok and Zoom, have done extremely well out of COVID-19. Like beyond, secretly, their CEOs and owners will be like winner.
I
Um,
know.
I think that I'm not sure about this. I don't know who owns TikTok, but I believe it's Chinese based. So there's a
Ooh.
bit of conspiracy theory,
Wonder if they're
possibly.
going to give a little bit back. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
100% no chance.
No.
No. Fifth and final one. What's the first thing you're going to do after lockdown's finished?
I'm just going to go out and hug everyone that I love and care about. I'm going to have just a hug-a-thon for about a month, I think. I'm missing it so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought.
Big
I
group
thought.
hugs.
I'm glad you put that caveat on the end. I thought you were just going to go on a big like hug fest.
I might do that too. No.
Yeah. Well, brilliant. Joe, it's been a fantastic look into an area I know nothing about, which is what it's all about, learning and taking advice from people who are more skilled in areas that you don't know anything about. So I hope people will get something from that. If they'd like to contact you personally or maybe speak about any issues, where can people find you on the world of social media?
Yeah, on the world of social media, I'm Joanna_Wellbeing, or I've got a Facebook page, Joanna. What's my Facebook page? Joanna Williams Wellbeing.
Cool.
But yeah, through Instagram, and just give us a shout. Whatever. I'm pretty much an open door, so all good.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been a fantastic look into the world we don't normally go into, but I think we'll go back there again and talk more about holistic therapies. I'm interested. Who knows? I could be doing yoga in 2021. Who knows? Joe, thanks very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
cool. Cheers, you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.